Welcome to Idea to Insight. This is a 5-step rhythm to connect what seems random, distill what feels messy, write with clarity, and share your best ideas. So most people treat creativity like a machine, right? They collect ideas, organize them, and hope something meaningful rolls out on the other end. But creativity doesn't live in machines. It lives in movement. This rhythm I'm about to walk you through, it is not a productivity system. It's a creative practice. It is a way to keep your thought life alive and flowing. And you don't need fancy tools. You just need curiosity, intention, and space to notice what's already stirring in you. The 5-step rhythm is: number 1, picking a living idea. 2, dig for gold. 3, create a thought map. Number 4, craft your message. And 5, share your idea. Each step is a small act of stewardship, a way of noticing, shaping, and releasing what's already been entrusted to you. It's not about output. It's about aliveness. It's about keeping your creative river generous and alive. So before we get into the rhythm, let me tell you how this is going to work. This isn't something I just explain to you and then say good luck, right? I'm going to walk you through each step, and then I'm going to show you what it actually looks like in real life. So you're not just hearing theory, you're watching the rhythm happen for me in real time. So for example, when we talk about picking a living idea, I'll actually show you how I choose my living idea and the living idea that I'm going to use for this course. When we dig for gold, you'll literally see me thinking out loud and using ChatGPT as a thought coach. When we create our thought map, you'll watch me actually create it on the screen. When we talk about sharing, I'll show you what that looks like in my world using Substack. And one more important thing, you don't have to rush this, okay? After each step, you can pause the course and do it yourself in real time. In fact, that's what I want you to do. I want you to pick your living idea, then pause. Dig for gold, pause. Create a thought map, pause. You get the idea. By the time you reach the end, you won't just understand the rhythm, you'll have lived it. All right, this is not about binge watching a course. This is about entering a rhythm that can carry you for the rest of your creative life. All right, step 1 is pick a living idea. Find the spark that hums beneath the noise. Every rhythm starts with a spark, something that catches your attention and won't let go. It could be a quote, a question, a photo that you took on a walk recently, a conversation that you had recently, anything that hums quietly in the back of your mind. So you don't want to chase novelty, you want to chase aliveness and resonance. Pick the idea that keeps resurfacing when you're washing dishes, or when you're walking outside with your kids, or when you're on the bus to work or driving to work. The one that stirs a small curiosity you can't quite name. That is your seed. That's your living idea. And you don't have to know where it's going. Your only job is to notice the pull and say yes to it. So you don't want to pick a clever idea. You pick a living one. Something with a pulse. And this isn't about finding the right idea. It's about responding to wonder. Because the richest creative work doesn't begin with strategy. It begins with attention. So my question for you is, what idea has been tugging at your mind lately? Think about that for a second. Now you may be asking, how do I know if it's a living idea? A living idea moves you. It stirs curiosity, wonder, or conviction. It makes you pause mid-scroll or whisper, So you want to follow it, right? Dead ideas are clever, but they're cold. Living ones tug gently at your sleeve. And remember, ideas speak differently in different seasons. The thought that lit a fire in you last year might only warm you now. And that doesn't mean it died, it just means that you've changed. So you want to stay sensitive to what's calling to you in this season. Not what's trending, what's popular, or most restacked on Substack. The goal isn't to chase attention, it's to notice the invitation. So we are in step 1 of pick a living idea, and I'm going to show you what that looks like for me. What you're looking at right now is a Sublime note-taking app, or a PKM tool. This is my tool of choice, and right now we're looking at the Trails collection. Ideas I'd like to follow, right? These are the trails that I want to go down intellectually. So anytime I come across an idea that not just relates to another collection like Creator Compass or Business Compass or, insights from the Bible, if I want to go deeper, if I want to go down the rabbit trail, then I save it to this collection. So now I have a running list of ideas that I can choose from when I'm ready to start this rhythm, right? So in this section right now, you're going to watch me in real time pick an idea that I want to follow. And I'll kind of go through and give commentary on what some of these meant to me, why I saved them, that kind of thing. So this first one was from Substack. You must learn to proceed without certainty. And I saved this because I love the artwork, number one. But number two, this is something that my wife and I are currently going through, is taking a step without knowing what's going to happen. So in real time, in this season of my life, which I guess every season of life is going to have these moments, but in this season, there's something very specific that we are thinking about. And so this idea that you must learn to proceed without certainty, this little guy looks like he's ready for the journey. It just is inspiring to me. And it's something that I would want to think about more. And I do have this in my One Wild Life collection. All the ideas that I save on living one wild life. And then also it's obviously in Trails. And this Trails collection is private because some ideas that I save are not necessarily for the public in this collection. The collections that I do have are public, which is the great thing about Sublime. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. So I'm not going to go through every one of these, but I'll just kind of bounce around. Quote from J.R.R. Tolkien. Oh, this is cool. I saved this, or I wrote a note on Substack, but then I also saved it here to Sublime about a little moment here about my daughter going through kind of this, this motion of following her curiosity and then linking ideas together. I watched it in real time, so I was like, this is something that I want to write down as an encouragement. Even little kids follow this. And it was cool to explain it back to her. Another moment right here that I saved with hopscotch. We were on a trail, it was me and the kids. And I realized that when we stopped, it's currently raining right here, so you may hear that on the recording. But when we stopped, we saw this hopscotch, and the kids had to play. They each had to go through it, which kind of got me thinking about creating and releasing work that is for yourself, because they built it for themselves, or they built it. They wrote or they drew it for themselves. Whoever drew this, but then it kind of stays there, right? And then people who pass it also benefit from it. Like, that's the same thing in creativity. When you release your work, you first kind of write for yourself, right? And then somebody along the way is going to resonate with that and join in and participate. It's just a really cool moment right there. Oh man, let's see. So I'm trying to get you to understand kind of how I save, what I save, specifically with Trails. Like, these are the things that I want to follow. Got some ideas on journaling, how this guy journals. This is one of the coolest things that I've read. You learn how to build a chair because you find it interesting. You realize you're a natural, and then you realize you love making chairs. You get so good at it that your chairs are in high demand, and you now set up a factory to make those chairs. And you make crores? I don't know what that word is because of that. You got all the technology, resources, people in the world to do it for you, and you can sit back and relax. You don't need to make chairs for yourself ever again. What a successful life. Unless you loved making chairs. That is brilliant right there. And this is just something I could definitely write about and think through. Okay. You can see I saved a photo even of some drawings that one of my daughters did. So I save everything in here, guys. Really, just everything. As I consider, right, this is picking a living idea, something that really is resonating with me, or that has resonated with me, is this quote about, and I think I saw it in Substack, but it's about, instead of having songs make us cry, instead of saying a song makes you cry, we should say a song lets us cry. And I've not been able to get that out of my head. And honestly, I kind of want to think more about that. And this is it right here, actually. So I just clicked into it, and I think this is the quote. Someone said that we should stop saying that songs make us cry and start saying that they let us cry, which I think is beautiful. Yeah. This is the one that I want to think about. All right, so there you have it. This is part one, right? Step one of the process and the rhythm, I should say, where you are choosing picking a living idea. This is the idea that moves me, that when I first encountered it, I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck? That's incredible. And I still think it's incredible. And I want to think more about that and see where it goes. We have no idea where this is going to go, but I'm excited to see where it goes. And while you're at it, I want you to as well, before we get to step two, to pick one idea, pick one living idea. Like, as you can see, I have tons of ideas, and we're not short on ideas. We have saved and saved and saved and saved. This is about picking just one, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Just pick one that is moving you right now. Step two is dig for gold. Follow the shimmer beneath the surface. Every idea carries hidden veins of meaning, stories, and connections. You just have to start uncovering them. And this step isn't about organizing your thoughts. It's about exploring your thoughts. Before you dig for gold, you want to set yourself up to notice better. And that's where finding your idea sensorium comes into play. You want to go where your senses wake up. So choose an environment that stirs your curiosity, a place that feels alive to all five of your senses, if you can do that. This might be a morning walk, which is, for me, definitely my idea sensorium is a morning walk. A quiet coffee corner or a seat by the window, even in your car, right? When you change your setting, you change your seeing. Your thoughts loosen and your mind opens. Ideas bloom where your senses are awake. And this is about tuning your attention, not escaping distraction, right? So you're creating an atmosphere that lets buried insights surface. Here's something that I've learned. The best ideas don't usually show up when I'm typing. Typing invites my inner editor to the table. I start to polish too soon, like fixing grammar or trimming thoughts or second guessing myself, and that shuts down the curiosity. But when I talk it out and talk out loud, something changes, right? I can't hit delete. I can't reword mid-sentence. I have to keep going, and that keeps my thinking alive. When I talk out loud, ideas bump into each other, right? Connections appear I didn't plan for, and I surprise myself. That's why I always recommend speaking your thoughts, whether it's to GPT, a voice memo, or a transcription tool like Otter, right? You're not performing, you are prospecting. Now, there are two main ways to dig for gold. Both begin with talking it out, but they differ in how you explore. The first is the thought coach method, right? This is where you use ChatGPT as your guide. You tap the little icon in ChatGPT, and it's going to start dictating or transcribing what you're saying. And then you would say something like, ask me one question at a time to help me explore this idea. And then you actually paste that idea into the chat. And then just let it lead you. Answer each question out loud. Follow your curiosity like a miner follows the glint of gold. You want to go wide and wander, and don't rush to conclusions. And then we have the guided reflection method. All right, if you prefer to go at your own pace or use your phone's voice-to-text feature or notes app, use reflection questions to guide yourself. You can ask yourself things like, what about this idea resonates with me? Why does it matter right now? That's an excellent question based on the season that you're in. What does it remind me of? A story, a verse, a moment? And what books or quotes echo this same truth? What words or phrases stand out? What would it look like? What would it sound like if it were worded differently? All of these things I go over here in just a little bit in the Watch Me Do It section. So whether you're using ChatGPT or a recorder, the rhythm is the same. You're giving your ideas space to wander until they start connecting. Moments where something clicks, and you want to follow these trails. You might uncover memories and metaphors or truths you didn't know were connected. The goal is not to mine efficiently, it's to stay curious long enough to find what's buried. Now you may be asking me, what if nothing comes out when I talk? My friend, that is normal. The first few minutes are warming up, and you just want to keep going. Curiosity needs a little friction before it starts to flow. So let me just say this. If you've ever believed that you have nothing to say, that's a bold-faced lie. You do have something to say. You carry a perspective no one else does. Let me say it this way. Someone in need is waiting on the other side of your creative expression. So speak. Even if your voice trembles a little, your words might be the spark that lights another lantern for someone else. How long should I dig? Too short of a time won't give your brain enough space. Sometimes it's like turning on a faucet that's been off for 20 years, right? Brown water will come out at first. But if you let it keep running, the water begins to clear. And that's how your mind works too. At first, it's just noise, and then nuance, and then comes the gold. Now for me, I need at least 30 minutes. It's usually enough time for my thoughts to stop performing and start revealing. You want to stop when your curiosity feels quiet, not when you run out of words. How will I know when I've found idea gold? The answer is you'll feel it. It's a small spark or shift inside you. It's the moment when you think, oh, that's good. That's your gold vein. But don't stress about hitting like a certain number of ideas, right? This isn't a target or a quota here. I will literally go until my idea tank, my creative tank is empty, right? And that's how I know I'm done. It's kind of like listening for popcorn. At first, it's constant, idea after idea, thought after thought. And then the time between pops slows down. And that's when you know it's time to take it off the stove or out of the microwave. It's the same thing with exploring ideas. You'll naturally slow down digging. And some sessions might uncover 5 nuggets of gold, others 20. Every time will look different, and that is okay. All right, so this is digging for gold, right? And you're going to watch me in real time kind of think through and process and untangle and see and discover the gold and figure out what I think about this quote right here. And I wish that whenever they saved this, that they attributed it to whoever said that, but they said someone said that, so we don't know who it is who said it. So what I'm going to do is I have ChatGPT open right now, and I am going to go through this. This is my preferred method. We went over both the thought coach method and the guided method as well, where you're not necessarily using ChatGPT as far as a thought coach. You can still use ChatGPT to transcribe, which I'll show you how to do that. But you can also, use voice memo, that kind of thing, if you want to, or just another transcription service. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this over here. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of go wild with it. I'm just going to start saying what I think. And ChatGPT is going to come back with some things. And what's going to end up happening is I'm going to read through some of the back and forth, like what it said, what I said, what it said, what I said. And sometimes it'll spark something in me. It'll create another idea. It'll make me remember about a quote that I read recently, or a book that I read recently. It'll remind me of a story. So we're just going to go through and knock it out. I'm going to paste that quote in here. And I'm going to say, I want to think through this idea and untangle how I feel about it. Here's the idea. Okay. So, one thing that it's spitting out a lot of stuff. I'm not even going to look at it yet because I want to just kind of go through and ask myself, what do I think about this? Okay. All right. So you notice I clicked the little icon right now, and it is transcribing. It's recording. It's going to transcribe my thoughts. So someone said that we should stop saying that songs make us cry, and we could also insert, essays, movies, anything like that, and start saying that they let us cry. So a couple different directions here. The first thing is, it is insane to me how one word changes a sentence, right? Like, there's make us cry and let us cry. Those are two very different words. And for me, when I insert that word, let us cry, that, songs or that words, they don't make us cry, they let us cry. There's a permission there. There's a permission to allow yourself to be honest, because I think and maybe this is just me, maybe it's just me that thinks, we live in like a, how are you, I'm good kind of culture, and we just pass each other at the grocery store and we say, how are you? Or at church and we say, how are you? I'm good. But really, there's something that's going on in your life, in my life, that is like, you're thinking about that, if you were to just be honest, it's like, okay, you know what? I'm doing okay, but there are some things that I'm just thinking about and I'm working through. And this sentence for me is like someone has come in and unlocked a door that's been locked for a very long time. And or maybe even it's been unlocked this whole time. And my perception is that it's been locked. Yeah, that's what it is. My perception is that it has been locked this whole time. But really, it's been unlocked. And I could have gone through and I could have seen a whole new world, like Chronicles of Narnia, going through the wardrobe kind of deal. Like, there's something incredible on the other side of the door but you have to open it. This sentence right here, it gets me to think it is okay. There is something that is being opened. Your eyes are being opened to the fact that the door has been unlocked this whole time. And it's not about dwelling on the past, but it is about knowing that the door is unlocked and that you can walk through it. Right? There's a permission there. Okay, so I'm going to stop. I don't want to go too long. Sometimes it doesn't actually give me the transcription, and that's a bummer. All right, so it has transcribed everything that I've said. Now let's just see what it says. So you see, so it's kind of distilling or reading back to me a few things that have happened. Now you'll notice I have the door analogy or metaphor. I have this cultural layer here of like, yeah, we're good. I'm good. How are you? I'm good. And now it's giving me some angles that we can go through, but we're not even close to done yet. It's pretty cool in my eyes to like, because I have the transcription right here of all this, me kind of rambling and babbling and all that, right? And now I have some sort of kind of clarity on what points that I've hit. So that I'm gonna stop there, and I'm gonna go into like what it might look like as a thought coach. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do one thing. Real quick. This is something that I call quote lenses, and this is where I take this idea and I say, give me two different versions of the idea. Okay. Let's try that and just see what comes out. All right, so I'm going to change directions a little bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and do some quote lenses. So I'm gonna give you this idea again so that you have it, and then what I want to do is create two different versions, a message version and an amplified version, just to see if there's anything that would pop out, something else that would pop out for me in this idea. All right. So I'm going to let it transcribe. Here's the original idea for context. This is all in the same conversation. And now it's going to spit out two different versions. I got this idea, quote lenses, from reading the Bible. There's multiple versions of the Bible. And I read multiple versions to try and just kind of just to get a broader picture of things. The message is paraphrased. The ESV is very close to what the original language is. I read, at least two or three of those, and I thought, what if like with, just other quotes, I had like little versions of these that I could try out. So anyways, this is what's going to spit it out right here. Okay, the message version, paraphrased. Maybe songs don't cause the tears at all. Maybe they just open the space where our hearts can finally breathe. They don't push emotion out of us. They make room for it. They give us permission to be honest for a moment. That's a line right there. In a world where everyone says, I'm fine, they whisper, you don't have to be. that may be something that I pull out in the next step right now, or here in a little bit. Stop saying songs make us cry as if they twist emotion out of us. They let us cry like a friend who quietly sits beside us until the wall breaks. They open a door we thought was locked, revealing that it was never locked at all. So now it's kind of taking my metaphor here. They don't manufacture sorrow, they uncover what was already waiting for light. In their melody, something deep in us exhales, the ache, the gratitude, the grief, the wonder, and suddenly it feels holy to be human again. That's a cool line. It feels holy to be human again. I got a couple thoughts. I'm reminded of a quote, and it's somebody, like whoever said it. It was quoted in the book, "The Power of Who," I think, by Bob Boudin, and it is the quote: "A friend is someone who knows the song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you've forgotten the words." As I read, like a friend who quietly sits beside us until the wall breaks. I just got that quote in my head. A friend is someone who knows the song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you've forgotten the words. They know the song in your heart. They know who you truly are. They know when you're not okay. Like, they're the ones that say, "How are you doing?" And you say, "I'm good." And you say, or they say, "No, you're not." And you say, "Yeah, you're right. Actually, I'm not. I'm not doing that good." And I don't mean for this to be a downer, but this is real. Like, this is real time thinking right here, right? And I chose something that is speaking to me. That quote. So this is just real time honesty and thinking. Okay. So that's one thing that I thought of. This was another line. They don't push for emotion. They make room for it. And that got me to think, for myself and for others who are wanting to create and express themselves, to the fellow artists, to the fellow idea shepherds who are interested in sharing ideas and all that. Maybe what you have to say is not pushing emotion out of somebody, is not manufacturing something, but is making space for that person to receive, or for that person to finally kind of let go and to know, this is okay. This is what I feel. Maybe the words that you speak are the words that you create, that you write. Maybe the videos that you make, they make room for others to express themselves, to be honest with themselves. Because the word cry, it cries. it creates like this feel of like, I'm being honest. I'm finally being authentic. When people cry, when you cry, it's a sign of there's something that is moving inside of you, right? That it reminds me of another quote, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like, you know your why when it makes you cry, or something like that. And I think I heard it from Ken Coleman, from the Ramsey Network. So like, there's a level deeper of like, when you cry, there is something that is moving inside of you. All right, I'm going to pause there. Okay. This was fun right here. And we're going to have all kinds of stuff to kind of go through. in the next section. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get that in here. All right, so it's kind of making some summarizing for me. Tears as a compass. Yep, that's awesome. There's a lot of ideas. It excites me. Like, there are so many ideas and so many connections just by me talking out loud. Like, I haven't even gotten to the thought coach method yet. This is just me talking. If I were to write or to type, I don't think that I would be able to at least make all these other connections. Like, we have some quotes that came up from Bob Boudin. We have a quote from Ken Coleman. We have metaphors with the Doors. We have another metaphor here, analogy as tears as a compass. Like, there are things that are bubbling up. We have one-liners that are like, just, I think, something that we can use here in a little bit that will become individual cards and notes on the next phase of this course. But it's just really cool. All right. One last thing is I'm going to, in the same conversation, just as an example for you, we're going to do the thought coach experiment. Okay, so you are my thought coach, and I want you to ask me one question at a time to help me untangle what I think about this idea, or to dig for the gold, since we are in that phase. Dig for the gold in this idea, and I want you to just ask me one question at a time, and I'll give you the idea. At this point, I may be overlapping thoughts and ideas because I've already done. I usually don't do both a thought coach and do this. Like, I do one or the other. So at this point, I'd probably say it's good. I can move on to creating the thought map, but I'm just showing you for an example right here. All right. Here's the. Okay. Let's see what questions we got. When you hear "They Let Us Cry," what does the word "let" stir up for you personally? Actually, you know what? I'm going to do a completely new chat for this, so it doesn't pull from my other thoughts. When you hear the phrase songs let us cry, what do you think they're letting out? The tears themselves, or something deeper that's been waiting beneath? So I think tears, they are a physical expression or manifestation of something that's happening inside of you. Like, when you cry, there's something going on inside of you that is moving. There's something that's moving you that is causing a physical thing to happen. In this case, tears are coming out of your eyes. So definitely something deeper that's beneath. And when I consider that, like, someone said that we should stop saying that songs make us cry. Like, oh man, that song made me cry. It let me cry. That means that there was something already there, and the song opened the door or gave you permission to say it's okay to cry. What I like about the thought coach method is that it's going to kind of go off of what I'm saying. It's going to give me just it could go anywhere, basically. When you think about a song letting you cry, giving permission, opening a door, what do you think it's actually doing in that moment? Is it creating safety, resonance, language, or something else entirely? I think it was in the book The Power of Conversations. No, that's not what it is. I can't remember the name of the book. But it has something to do with vulnerability. Like, when we say, like, it's, instead of it made us cry, it let us cry. What's happening in the moment is your guard has been let down. And that's what art does, right? That's what songs do. That's what words do. That's what somebody like Seth Godin, I'm not gonna say that art is reserved, or this, even that, art is reserved for the painters and the sculptors and the writers. I'm talking about anybody that, as Seth Godin, describes an artist as anybody that can cause someone else to change or to want to change. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit. That's not exactly what he said, but it's something to that effect, that art, anybody is an artist. Everybody is an artist. Everybody has the capacity to create something, a moment that would allow somebody else to let their guard down for a moment and show you who they are, right? I'm kind of reminded of the movie Trolls, right? There's that song, "I see your true colors shining through, and that's why I love you." And I dance with my daughters to that song almost. For the last 3 or 4 years, I've been doing it on Valentine's Day, and I think it'd be so cool to do it at their wedding. But the whole point is, I see their true colors. I know who they are, and I hope that, my hope is that they would always be able to let their guard down with their dad. Yeah. So you can see, like, that just went, like, there's a whole nother connection of trolls and parenting, and like a story, an anecdote of, every year for the last 3 or 4 years, dancing with my daughters to that song and Trolls. There's been a lot of connections, and just 2 questions, right? Okay. When you think about that moment of the guard coming down, whether it's through a song, a story, or even your daughters dancing to the true colors, what do you think allows that trust to form? What makes someone feel safe enough to finally let go? I think it's like vulnerability unlocks vulnerability. Meaning, when I let my guard down and express myself, it allows others to, or gives them permission to also let their guard down, which I think, that's why, because some songs and some art is so honest. It's not like, sometimes, we can be so cookie cutter with nonfiction books and AI slop. Like, that's not going to let people's guard down. It's going to sound the same as everything else. So if you want to be somebody who helps others let their guard down, you need to let your guard down, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And allow that honesty and what am I trying to say? Being authenticity, that's the word. Let that come out in how you express yourself creatively. Whenever you write, whenever you have a conversation with somebody, whenever you share on YouTube, right? It's vulnerability that unlocks vulnerability. Okay, so for the sake of the video and for this course, I'm going to stop there. But you can see that there's been just a handful of questions, and this is, the thought coach method that has unlocked a few cool ideas and a few cool, meaningful things that I think we can take in the next phase. So now I want you to go and do it yourself. I want you to practice this. It doesn't have to be perfect, as you saw with me. It is not perfect at all, but that's the point, is that when you kind of let your guard down, as we were talking about, it becomes a powerful moment for you to kind of see what is it that you think about this, whatever the idea is that you're thinking about, that moved you. Step 3 is to create a thought map. You want to make your thinking visible, and the map actually can become your message. A thought map is a visual artifact of what you just unearthed. It's how you make the invisible visible. It's like a mind map, but more organic, right? You're connecting stories to ideas, ideas to quotes, quotes to questions. But before we dive in, it helps to understand that there are 3 building blocks of a thought map. First, there are the ideas, right? The core pieces, your thoughts, your quotes, your questions. Think of each as a living note. And then there are the connections, or the lines, or the arrows between the ideas, right? These show relationships. You'll draw lines not just to central idea, but between the cards that inform them. Like you can see right here, I have arrows between these ideas and not directly to the starting idea, which is down here. And then we have tags and collections. These are the same thing, it's just a different name. But these are powerful. You can group ideas by theme or value so you can notice patterns later. Right now, you are looking at Sublime Canvas. Okay, this is the app of my choice. I'll leave a link in the video description for you to check it out. Okay, let me show you how the rhythm actually works. And again, I will go into detail and show you exactly what it looks like in real time for me to do this. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to show you here. Let's say this was the original idea that we wanted to explore. I would add that. Step 1 is to start with your anchor idea. Okay, so you add the idea that began the whole session to the center of your map. And then you want to go back to your GPT conversation and scroll slowly from the top and read what you said. When something resonates, you want to copy it and paste that onto the map. From there, you'll edit the note for clarity, make sure it's clear enough that your future self could understand it without extra context. And this is where you're turning a spark into a note that belongs to your library. And then you want to draw an arrow from the original idea if it's the one that directly connects to it. And that'll show the relationship to this idea. And then finally, you want to actually add this to a collection or multiple collections, or you can call them tags, whatever your note-taking app of choice uses. And then you return to the GPT conversation, keep going, and repeat over and over until you're all the way through the conversation. A thought map isn't about organization, it's about orientation. It's about seeing where your ideas have traveled and what they've touched along the way. The beauty of this is that the map itself can be a shareable artifact. And everything inside the map can be shareable. In a conversation with a friend, or online, or in a mastermind, the whole thought map can be shareable. Inside the map are small treasures. There's distilled ideas and quotes and stories and metaphors and books. And you don't have to polish them or package them at this point. You just let the map breathe. It's a window into how you think, a piece of your creative world that others can explore. Okay, so we are now at the part where we are going to create a thought map. And I'm going to show you real time how this works for me. I'm in Sublime, and By the way, I will leave a link to Sublime in the description of Gumroad, where you can access that. That way you can try it out if you're not already using Sublime and you want to use it, or at least try it out. There is a free version. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new canvas. You can see I have my whole course here in a canvas, but I'm going to create a new one. I don't know what I'm going to call this. For now, Let Us Cry. And I'm going to create it and expand this. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the first thing that we want to do is grab that original idea. So I'm going to search Let Us Cry. Even just searching and Sublime, the words "Let Us Cry." I mean, I haven't found it yet, but man, there's some really cool quotes here. Let's try this. Okay. There we go. Close that. Okay. And then I have my GPT conversation up as well, because we're going to go through the conversation from the top and pull out things that resonate. Okay. So, one of the things that I like to do is start with kind of what did ChatGPT kind of summarize for me based on what I said, because that's what it does quite often. But I want to go through and kind of see what's in here. Let's see here. Right now I'm just reading through my original thoughts here. So what I want to do is okay, so these are my thoughts right here, right? What I'm going to do is copy this and I'm going to paste it onto this canvas. And remember we talked about there's the three different kind of elements of the canvas. There's the ideas themselves, then there's the arrows, and then there's the tagging or collections. That's kind of the flow that we walk through. So I'm going to put this at the top here. Let's see, I need to go back to the canvas. Because this is, I mean, I want to give context to, like, you know, I can't just start with a couple different directions here. But I can start with, oh shoot, it's insane to me how one word changes a sentence. Permission to allow yourself to be honest. Right now I'm just kind of going through this and seeing if I want to maybe break it out into two different cards or leave it as one right now. And I'll go ahead and make this. I can't do that right now, can I? Nope, I have to make it a card first. I was going to put this in the quotations. I can do that for now. But I think we live It's like someone has come in and unlocked a door that's been just come in. Okay. So I've gone through and I've edited and I've taken things out, added things in as you saw, and I'm just kind of getting it ready to be its own card. It needs to be a standalone, so where like I can come in and read this and not have to rely on something else to know what this is. So I'm going to add this to my library and add it to let's see. I can add it to a life of with, which is a collection of living life with other people and not living in isolation. I can add it to creator compass. And I'm going to go ahead and add that to my library. So now it is its own card in my library. And it is also a card on this board, but it's also in those collections that I mentioned before. All right, and now I'm going to draw the arrow. In Sublime, it's just A for the shortcut and to draw the arrow. And I've titled it What Happens When We Allow Ourselves to Be Honest. And then I added the quote for context and then my thoughts. That was helpful. And then we have the, let's see. The different versions. A friend is someone who knows the song. Yep, here it is. So I already had that in my library, and I'm going to connect that. And then we have The Power of Who. That book is also here. So, actually, it was the quote first. And that's not what I wanted. And what relates to that is The Power of Who. What I'm doing right now is I'm creating a trail of thought. I'm going to connect directly to what I had thought of, and then directly to that, and directly to that, and keep going and going and going. And what I'm going to do is create a new card, actually, because I forgot. What I did was I had ChatGPT create a different version. And I'm just going to go ahead and add this to my library. So we have this trail of thought, and then we have this one. And I can label this line right here, message version. So I have the idea, or I have what this was, which reminds me of from the book. Right, it's right here too. But this is a trail of thought right here. Right, so I did the message version of I had ChatGPT do the message version of the quote. Something in this, reminded me of a friend, as someone who knows the song, which is from the book. Now let's keep going. Oh, I did the wrong one. Go ahead and add this to my library. This is the one. And then we have this one. I have trained ChatGPT to, like, when I say Gregify it, it will create my version of an idea, right? Okay, so I'm gonna keep this in here. I need a title for this. Your creative expression makes creates space yeah. Your creative expression can create a space, or it can make room allowing others to let their guard down. Maybe what you have to say isn't about pushing emotion out of someone or manufacturing a reaction. Yeah, I dig that. This is a creator compass quote or idea. I have these thought trails in here now. Let's see. This is a cool thing right here. It's maybe our job isn't to write the songs that make people cry. Like, I'm not focused on the outward expression of somebody else. I can't control that. But what I can do is create the kind of art that lets them remember what they feel. And this would relate to this right here. And I guess also this too. You know your why when it makes you cry. That's also the Ken Coleman quote. Let's see if I have that in here. Nope. You know you are when it makes you cry. Oops. So I just created a new quote for him. You know your why when it makes you cry. This was actually, this was when I consider the word cry, right? Shoot. Yeah. Tears are a compass. Tears can be a compass. If I say tears are a compass, that means that's true always, but it's not true always. But they can be a compass. That's going to be a new note. And I remember saying something in my other conversation, the thought coach one. Here they are. Gotta make this smaller. I don't know where to put that right now, and that's okay. Okay. I'm going to pause right here, and I think we have something really cool happening. over on this side, what happens when we allow ourselves to be honest. And we've got the door metaphor over here. We've got the culture of how are you, I'm good culture. We've got quotes involved. We've got, these are the different versions of the idea. We've got books that we've referenced. We've got on the other side, like, we've got two different points of view, like what happens when we allow ourselves to be honest. And then like over here, tears can be a compass, but then there's also on the creator side, your creative expression makes room for allowing others to let their guard down. Maybe our job isn't to write the songs. That's another way of saying it. So there's just a lot of cool things going on. Now we can take these thoughts. These are all of this right here is my thinking. It is they're my connections. And now I can take some of this or all of it. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be all of it, but I can take some of this and I can turn it into a written piece. I can turn it into a video if I wanted to. A creative expression of what I was thinking. Or I could even share this. I could share this whole thing, and it is something that is a visual artifact of my thinking. But for the sake of this course, I'm going to pause. I'm going to let you start creating your thought map. This was an example of how I do this and how it works for me. All right, step 4 is to craft your message. You want to shape what you found into a gift for someone else. This is where your idea takes its next breath, where it moves from thinking to sharing, whether it's a YouTube script, a newsletter, an essay, or even like a chapter of a book, right? This rhythm helps you communicate with flow, clarity, and heart. And this is all done with what I call the tell me more method. This is your creative compass for writing. It mirrors how real conversations unfold. The idea is that someone hears something interesting, right? That's the hook. They lean in, and then you unpack it. That's explain. And then you leave them with something that lingers in their mind for days. And that's where you land. It's simple, it's human, and it's powerful. Let's talk about the hook. So you want to start with a sentence that feels alive. It's often something that you said when you weren't trying to sound smart. You were just thinking out loud. That's usually the line that catches attention because it surprised even you, right? It might be a quote from your map that you thought of, a question that's been haunting you, right? A short, punchy line that makes someone pause. The best hooks sound like something only you could say, or something that deeply resonates with you. So you don't have to start with your idea. You could start with somebody else's idea. Either way, the hook is about getting them to lean in so that you can tell them more. And then we have explain, right? This is the middle or the meaning. Now, this is where you pull from your thought map, right? You choose 3 to 5 notes, quotes, stories, or analogies, books, whatever, right? That connect to your hook. And these are your bridges. They give your hook context and depth. And then finally, there's land, right? The moment that lingers. End with your one truth, a question, a takeaway. This is what all your exploration points toward. It's not a summary, it's a resonance, right? The land isn't the end, it's the echo. Now you can actually use ChatGPT to begin the process, right, with a prompt. In the next section where I actually go through my live demo, I will show you exactly how to use the Tell Me More prompt and what it is, and you'll see exactly how it works. And I do want to say this isn't AI slop, right? Everything in the draft, the hook, the explanation, the landing, right, it comes from you. You already did the deep work of connecting ideas, stories, and analogies. So GPT is not inventing your message. It's helping you shape it. You can think of it like a creative companion. You're still the thinker, you're still the voice, and this is your message, crafted with care. Now, after you put in the prompt, you want to edit in your own voice, right? You want to edit in your voice. When GPT gives you a draft, read it out loud. It should sound exactly like you. And if it doesn't, change it until it does. Cut what's stiff, expand what's alive. The goal isn't perfection, it's presence. And you'll see exactly what I mean whenever you watch me go through it live, and how GPT's version was not the same as what I actually ended up with. And if you'd rather skip GPT entirely or AI entirely, right, you can write your hook, move through your explain points, and then end with your landing. And read it aloud until it flows naturally. Keep editing until it flows naturally. You're not summarizing your session here, right? You're inviting someone to walk through it with you. You're inviting someone into an idea that they will hopefully be changed by. All right. So now we are on the craft the message step. And same thing in real time. I'm going to show you how this is going to work using Sublime right here. We've got our canvas that we've created after we've dug the gold, or we were digging for gold, and we've picked our one idea. So let's see. What I want to start with is I want to go into ChatGPT, and I'm going to go into songs that let us cry. And I've got the prompt here, because we're going to use the Tell Me More method to create a piece that, like I said in the previous section, it can be used for anything. It can be used for a book. It can be used for YouTube. It can be used to practice a conversation even of how you're going to explain it, because it is in a conversation flow. So I'm going to copy this prompt right here. Use the Tell Me More writing method, hook, explain, and land, and to help me turn the thought map into, for me, it's going to be a Substack newsletter for, actually, I'll just do an atomic essay. Here's the explanation of the Tell Me More method, and then this is where I insert the hook. Okay, so the question is, what do I want the hook to be? That's not what I want. Sometimes the hook will be the quote that you started with. If you notice, in a lot of nonfiction books, right, at the beginning of each chapter, they have the chapter title and then a quote that will kind of go with that chapter, and it kind of lingers with you. That's the idea, right, is that you have this quote that kind of lingers with you. Actually, while I'm at it, I want to tweak this. I'm going to come into this card. Maybe our job isn't to create. To make art that make to create. Maybe our job isn't to create art that makes people cry, but to create the kind of art let's remember how they feel. I may need to go, I don't really like how that is worded. I may need to go back and fix that at a later time. But here's the idea. And what I'm gonna start with this because it's said beautifully. Okay, I'm going to copy this. and then explain, insert. So this is where I'm going to go into, I don't need all that. I'm going to go into here and figure out what do I want to say. I want to keep this. I want to incorporate this. So I'm going to, because I can't highlight from here, I don't think. So I have to open it up into a new tab. And then I'm going to put this in here. Insight number 1. And then going to come back over to my board. I love this quote, so I want to put that in there. Quote. Go back to the board. Tears can be a compass. So I'm going on the side of the letting your guard down, allowing yourself to be honest, instead of the side of the creative, like your creative expression. That's why I'm not going to use this, and that's okay. But this showed up in my thought process, in my thinking session, right? And that's totally fine. It's awesome that it's on this whiteboard or on this canvas, but it doesn't have to be used in this piece that I create. Let's see. It might be kind of fun to end with the same thing that we started with. So I have, where is it at? I want to end with the land. Here it is. Okay, let's see what it comes up with. The idea here is I've already done the work, but now I am trying to use AI as a creative companion to help me get this piece going. I will still be the editor and the visionary behind it, but it helps me to put all these thoughts that I had into this prompt, and so I can get an idea of where I'm going with this. Okay. Someone said that we should stop saying that songs make us cry and start saying that songs let us cry, which I think is beautiful. It's insane to me how one word changes a sentence, right? There's make us cry and then let us cry. Those are two different phrases. For me, when I insert that word let, it changes everything. Songs or words don't make us cry, they let us cry. There's a permission there, a permission to allow yourself to be honest. Because I think we live in we pass each other at the grocery store. It's like someone has come in and shown me what I thought was a locked door has been unlocked this whole time. My perception is that it's been locked, but really it's been open. I could have gone through. We may need to rework this. Let's see if we can rework it. Actually, I want to come do it in here. I'm just going to come back into the canvas and I'm going to edit this and maybe rearrange it to where it makes a little more sense. This is the quote, and this is where I begin. Tears are a compass. I could just go with we live in a I'm trying to figure out how I want to go about this. Like if I was just writing a piece on this. Let's see. So you can see like AI did not really help me here. I don't know that I thought maybe that quote could be used, but I just don't think it's needed. A lot of this is just kind of chipping away at what's not needed. Let's see. I have an edited okay. Someone once said that we should stop saying that songs make us cry and start saying that they let us cry, which I think is beautiful. It's wild how one word can change everything, right? Make us cry, let us cry. Those are two completely different phrases. For me, when I insert that word let, something shifts. Songs or words don't make us cry, they let us cry. There's permission in that, permission to be honest. We live in a how are you? I'm good kind of culture. We pass each other in the grocery store or at church and say, how are you? And the other person says, I'm good. But really, there's something stirring, something we're thinking about, something we're working through. And it's like I've been sitting in a room for decades staring at what I thought was a locked door. Then someone walks in and shows me it's been unlocked the whole time. My perception said locked, but the truth said open. I could have stepped through and seen a whole new world. There's something incredible on the other side of that door, but I never experienced it because I believed I couldn't. That's what art does. Art doesn't force emotion out of us, it makes space for it. It shows us the unlocked doors in our hearts and gently invites us to walk through. And what I might do is title this like How Art Unlocks Doors. And just to show you an example like of what I might do here, this would probably be like a parable moment for me. It would be a text post. And I forgot where I was. There we go. How art reveals unlocked doors in our heart. This right here, it feels like it breaks the flow right here. But this, like going from there's something stirring, something that we're thinking about. I don't know, maybe not. It's like I've been sitting. Uh, Here we go. It's not perfect, but it is something that is now mine that can be shared. It's a draft now in Parable Moments, which is a newsletter that I have for Substack. So you can see that if I were to do this, every day, it would be insane, the things that you can connect, the ideas that you can connect, the things that you can release, and the thoughts that you have, and the connections and all that stuff. It is insane. But now I have an artifact, right? I have Let Us Cry, the visual thought map. I have an article or a newsletter out of this session. I have tons of, not tons, but I have a handful of ideas that I've saved that will bring it down even further into the rabbit hole that I could chase later if I wanted to. And I'm good with this. All right, so now it's your turn. I want you to take your thought map and start creating a tell me more method of your version of whatever idea that you chose. All right, so far we've picked an idea, a living idea. We have dug for gold. We've created a thought map. We've crafted the message, and now it's time to share that message, to share the idea, right? And here you're building a world, not an audience. And I'll go into what I mean by that. Now, before you hit publish, I want you to pause and remember that the goal isn't to produce more. It's to cultivate richness, right? You're not building an audience. You're building a world, a digital garden that exists for its own sake, because it's beautiful, alive, and worth tending. Now, this idea of building a world and not an audience, it comes from Andre Chaperon, who says, instead of building an audience, you should build a world. You should build a world where people want to inhabit. This shift changes everything. It moves us from chasing reach to cultivating resonance, from performance to participation. Now, your world doesn't depend on likes or clicks to prove its worth. It's rooted in curiosity, connection, and care. Each new piece you share becomes another path through that world, a way for others to wander in and discover what's growing there. The right people, your kindred thinkers, will find you, and they'll step into your world, explore its layers, and fall in love with the atmosphere that you have created. So you want to create a world expansive enough to hold your ideas, your spirit, your questions, and the people who resonate with them. So yes, share online, write the post, send the email, record the video, but also share in conversation. Exchange thought maps with other deep thinkers, right? Talk about what you've been learning and seeing. Sometimes the most meaningful sharing doesn't scale, it deepens. Sharing isn't about scale, it's about keeping the current generous and alive and inviting others to dwell in the world you are building. Now you may be asking, what does world really mean here, right? Your world is the creative ecosystem where your ideas live. It might be your Substack, your website, your moleskin notebook, right? Your conversations. It's the place where your thoughts grow roots and branches. How will I know if my world is working? Morgan Housel once said that heaven for me is when someone says, I've never thought of it like that. When someone says that, that's when you know it's working. Just one person having that moment of recognition, that spark of perspective, is enough to know a tiny world is being built, and it is working. And that's the rhythm. Pick a living idea, dig for gold, create a thought map, craft the message, and share the idea. All right, this is not a system, it's a creative rhythm. Right? Each time you move through it, you learn to notice again, to wonder again, to connect again. You begin to see that every spark, quote, and story is a part of a living current, one that keeps giving as long as you keep it flowing. So take your ideas on walks, let them breathe, map them, share them. Your job isn't to dam the river or force it to perform. It's to keep it generous, to keep it moving, to keep it alive. Because when you do, you're not just creating content, right? You're cultivating connection. You're shaping a world worth walking through. And that is the work of an idea shepherd.